Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal producer channel here at YouTube, and welcome to another album review. Now, for of course this Friday's album review, of course, is for the the newest album from, of course, Chris Black's own High Spirits. That, of course, is titled Hard to Stop, which, of course, was released through High Roller Records on July 31st, which was just last week, actually. Just last week. Now, again, this would actually be the fourth album for High Spirits, and what's very something about this is because of not too long ago, which of course was on May 22nd, I had of course reviewed Chris Black's other project. That of course was Actor, his other band or so, which of course was Placebo. Again, that was on May 22nd that I reviewed that album, and of course, again, few months later, here is of course again the newest album from his other band. His, of course, one of his original heavy metal projects. Again, I've already stated in my Actor review again for Placebo that he has done plenty of other projects, but this is definitely was one of his more popular ones. Again, is High Spirits. So, before I guess in many ways, though, I don't really have to really go into much detail, any more backstory about High Spirits and so on, and Chris Black, other than, again, he had formed High Spirits in 2009. And, of course, the very first full-length album titled Another Night was released back in 2011. And I think that was also one of the first High Spirits releases, I believe, to have been released through High Roller. And since then, he's been, again, been signed to, of course, High Roller. Has done plenty with them. Alright, so I guess I got all that out of the way. Let's definitely just get right into the actual album itself. Okay, Hard to Stop from High Spirits. So, alright, so this album, of course, contains about 9 songs. I also should point out that this is actually my second High Spirits review, and I think I already pointed that out in the Actor review. Alright, so this again consists of 9 songs that are, of course, being Since You've Been Gone, No, Not a Cover, Restless, Face to Face, Hearts Will Burn, Voice in the Wind, All Night Long, definitely not a cover, Midnight Sun, which is actually a re-recording. I'll get to that real soon. Now I Know, and We Are Everywhere, and all these, again, combining all these songs, the time length clocks in at 34 minutes and 31 seconds. Alright. So, as far as when it comes to highlights for me when it comes to this album, as far as even musically, this is definitely a lot, surprisingly, probably the heaviest High Spirits album so far. I mean, I've, again, since my review for, of course, Motivator from 2016, which was a very solid album, but it was definitely had more of a hard rock feel. This one really tends to really turn up the metal volume quite a bit on this album, and that's definitely very apparent with the opening song, Since You've Been Gone, which is a high-octane speed metal track that definitely, again, it opens up the album nicely. Very much reminds me of later era Riot. And of course, Restless is another highlight for me, though not as ripping as the opener. It has a hook, and is definitely pretty fucking catchy. Definitely a really another good track off of this one. Hearts Will Burn. This one does turn up the dial a bit here again. And once again, really reminds me of Riot. Just another scorcher. Voice in the Wind, though not a favorite of mine, is worth mentioning. This has a way of combining modern era punk structuring with the more mid-80s period of Saxon. Think a la Crusader, for example. Definitely a great track for definitely not a bad song. Definitely very interesting and definitely keeps the album definitely with a bit of variety and so on. Midnight Sun here, which I've already mentioned already, is definitely a re-recording. Again, it's a re-recording. Originally was found on the 2013 EP, which again was released through High Roller Records. Of course, in the review, or at least the interview that Chris Black had gave on this album for the page on High Roller Records, he definitely stated that he wanted to do a more professionally recorded version of this song because of, again, the 2013 EP technically was kind of a demo. And it's definitely, again, and it fits great on this album. It actually fits very good on this album, and it definitely doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It definitely has a way of just blending in. Same thing with the song like Voice in the Wind, which definitely has a more of a commercial, almost radio-friendly feel to it. Even with that, it has a way of blending in with the overall feel of this album. It's really cool and very interesting, and it's definitely something. Now, the last two songs, Now I Know and We Are Everywhere, both close the album very nicely, though definitely I tend to also really very much lean more closer to, of course, We Are Everywhere, which is a great mid-pace heavy track, but Now I Know has definitely turned up the speed here. This is definitely more classic High Spirits in terms of just the very almost Motorhead-ish kind of feel with this one. Very new wave or British heavy metal sounding. It's a great speed metal track and great way of just keeping the overall tempo and the variety on this album very much greatly. Alright, so there we go. There's all 9 songs on this album here, and as far as my rating, I'm actually when I was going through my notes for these for at least these albums here, especially the Actor one, I was a little bit surprised that I gave the Actor quite a bit of a higher rating, which again over time I can't remember much of the Actor album. Again, that wasn't a bad album, but this album, on the other hand, what Chris Black has done with this newest release for High Spirits, it's almost close to being probably one of the best albums, I would say, in the High Spirits catalog for me. And personally, could very well be my favorite High Spirits album. So my rating is a 9.99 out of 10. This is so fucking close, actually, being, for me, a solid 10 out of 10. I dig the other 3 albums prior to this one. I do dig the other 3 High Spirits albums, but this one just does something for me that I feel the other ones didn't do much for. I mean, again, not to take away any of the very coolness and very solid work feel of those 3 albums, but just something about this one just does something for me. I really just like it, and I feel also Chris Black's vocals, which to some may be a bit of acquired taste. It can definitely be one of those that can be seen as a make it or break it for a lot of people who are definitely who are beginning to really get into High Spirits. But I feel this could be closest to probably some of his more better vocal performances on an album. He just really has a way of really trying pushing himself to really to really get out and let out a really good performance here, and really kind of gives these songs a really cool heightened level. Now that's where I also can make quite a bit of Riot comparisons. He definitely reminds me, of course, at some points, Todd Michael Hall, who of course again is the most recent singer for Riot as Riot V in some of those cases. Definitely a solid album. Definitely, if you are one of those who have yet to check out High Spirits, or at least check out any of his projects, this is probably would be the one to probably check out, and maybe even Another Night or Motivator, maybe. Any of those would be something. Or of course, any of these High Spirits albums are good albums. But I would say, I definitely would say you should definitely check this one out for sure. Definitely check this one out before you even check out any of his other projects, especially Actor. Check High Spirits out before you check out Actor. But this is definitely a very solid album. Definitely for those, since again, this was released on July 31st. If you have was able to listen to this album, definitely let me know about what you thought. But if you still haven't yet checked it out, if you want to look to obtaining a copy, I will, of course, will leave you a link to, of course, High Spirits Bandcamp page, where also, again, the songs are going to be listed in there to check out. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. This is Every Thrash Sam out, and I'll see y'all later. Take care, everyone.